you can see, I got an E36 muffler and another E92 muffler. This is actually what came off the car, off my E92 M3. This is a completely different setup from somebody else's car, but you will see in a second why this one is special. So if you don't realize by now, we are doing the OEM muffler mod for the E9X chassis. This is a super popular option, and I've heard mixed things about it. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a try. I found this local, somewhat local, for around 300 bucks, and hopefully this works out. One thing we do have to do is actually bring this to the shop. Cole's got to weld, or at least shorten these tips, because these are E90 length, apparently. I'm gonna pull the other muffler out so we can compare. I'll take measurements and then we'll go from there. Okay, I've just measured, and these tips are 8 on the shorter guys, or 8.5 by 9, so they're staggered a ½ inch, and these are about staggered almost around a ½ inch as well, and they're the same length. So I don't know what makes this an E90 setup versus an E92 setup, but I guess we'll find out. It could possibly be these guys, which would totally suck. I actually need to see if that connection is welded. Yeah, so anyways. Alright, as you can see, we got the car up on the quick jacks. I really appreciate the help from Cole here with the quick jacks. It makes all the jobs a little bit easier. This car is so low though, so we had to, put it up on wood, then kind of get the quick jacks obviously in the right spot without hitting these side skirt extensions. But we are pretty much ready to get to work here. One thing you'll notice that's different on this guy, which kind of sucks, and I don't know if the previous owners was actually running this muffler like this, but you'll see there's no bracket here. And this kind of bolts right up to the back bumper. There's like studs coming out of the trunk, bottom of the trunk, that this bolts up to. You'll see this is the bracket. Obviously it's still on this muffler, but you'll see that whole bracket is not on that muffler. So we got to do something about that. But bottom of the line, I want to just make sure we can get the old system off first. Here's the old system. You'll see it's one of these like muffler shop Y pipe type deals for the dual exhaust, and then it's welded here, but way down underneath it is clamped. So I've heard mixed things about these exhausts being the same. The E90, E92 mufflers, the whole exhaust apparently is the same thing. But what I read is that the tips are different sizes, and when I measured those two tips, they were not different. They were different by like a ½ inch, so I guess that would make a big difference on the car. I'm not gonna know until I put it up there. But a ½ inch doesn't sound like a whole lot, and if that's the only difference, then I may not even have the tips adjusted. It may just look kind of funky, but we'll see. It's interesting, especially because it doesn't have that bracket either. I don't know how this is gonna work out. It could be a huge failure, and I might just have to take this thing down to a muffler shop or something, make them deal with it. But it's always worth a shot first, so we're gonna go ahead and give it a try. All right, as you can see, a lot has changed here. I got the old muffler delete out. That'll be for sale on my Instagram if anybody's interested. Basically, you got these guys. These actually go up into the car. They got studs coming out of the trunk, so that's one thing these get secured onto. I think I'll put these on the muffler first. Obviously, this is where it was connected onto those guys, and then the muffler shop, whoever did this previously, had welded like a washer on the end, because normally you put it in with the screw there on the OEM muffler. So that's what I'll be working on. And if anybody's curious on how to get those little red bushings like these guys, you can get some channel locks or pliers, get some white grease, and you can just kind of pull them off. You'll probably fuck them up, but I mean, it's whatever. As long as they still function, it doesn't matter if they're pretty. It's underneath the car, you don't see it. So right now I'm just transferring everything over. We need these clamps because they are gonna go from here obviously to the new exhaust. Okay, now we have both the clamps here. I've connected the ground straps on either side, plus their little bushings. Now it's time to put this thing on the transmission jack, and I'm gonna try and get this up by myself. Initial impressions.
I like it.
Quiet though.
Way quieter than the muffler delay.
Give it a few revs real quick. That sounds fucking cool. Looks cool, huh? Oh. For the first time, I have made a car of mine quieter. Never thought I would do that, but the muffler delete was just too loud for a daily driving situation. I'm sure, you know, on a car that isn't driven every day, like the E36, don't drive it every day. It has a muffler delete. It doesn't sound too good. It just sounds too drony, and it sounded really drony at like 2,000 to 3,000 RPM, so that had to change. It had to go. My overall impressions of the OEM muffler mod. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it, so sound will vary. And this is definitely a very, very modest and conservative setup. If you're looking for something that is basically slightly over OEM, this is it. It is not like a muffler delete at all, because if you watch videos on a muffler delete online, or you watch videos of this online, the comparison, this sounds loud. You would think this would sound louder. I think it's kind of just depends on how you do it, but anyways, this is really, really good for my situation. Now, I can't lie, you know, it does sound cooler when it's louder under load, but the drone had to go, so this was a great way to remedy that for a very affordable price. If you do this yourself, you can do it for probably free, I would assume, if you have all the materials ready. But other than that, yeah, it turned out pretty good. And as always, I kind of just didn't film me doing it because I didn't have anybody to film for me, but I do appreciate Cole for letting me use the quick jacks. I used a transmission jack for the muffler, so it made it a little bit easier. We could have done it at the house, but that was tons easier using the quick jacks. I really want some quick jacks. I just couldn't, I can't justify it yet. But soon enough, hopefully I'll buy some quick jacks and make every job a little bit easier. Anyways, with that being said, I'm sure there's a good amount of sound clips in here, so hopefully you kind of got the idea of how this would sound. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about this setup, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. Bit of a shorter video, but we'll have something out soon in the future. Got some maintenance coming for this car. It's just on the way from SCP. So, see you guys in the next one. Peace.